Chapter 5 Curves of Time. Over the life we go up and down the curve of our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. And let's not forget the spiritual one, which is more subtle in its effects on our general mood and outlook on life. Do I expect to be blessed by life with a protection from harm and providence with opportunities? Do I feel hope for the brighter side to win the battle of emotional torment? All the questions that I had in my mind since my childhood led me towards a better future. These questions are responsible for many of my choices. The seeking of answers is responsible for the trials I undertook in order to gain wisdom and find serenity. My higher mind is like an eternally glowing machine. For it to maintain itself, it needs to accumulate force through a constant flow of unanswered quests concerning human life within and without the physical body. For what we are is a miracle, probably just as well to the Creator. Part of a bigger planetary body, yet individualistic and at the same time consisting of smaller consciousnesses appearing seemingly as one. What an illusion for the mind to grasp! So it keeps on running, keeps providing me with tasks. Will I catch a glimpse of this illusionary self-image and start showing acceptance, with my words and actions, to every part of myself? Subchapter: Weaving the Pattern. I started my journey in a rather uplifted state. Back when I discovered the potential of energy healing, I participated in a pranic nourishment seminar, joined a community in Switzerland, and finally found myself among people more closely reflecting myself. I was the happiest I felt in my life, and the curve of my well-being rose at a great speed up above the surface level. No grounding, though, was in those high and happy places to be found, and I've lost myself in spiritual and mental realms. Unbound from material gravity, I hardly maintained the core self in one piece. Didn't even need an average amount of sleep. Could endure physically for hours without needing food nor feeling lack of emotional upliftment. Constantly looked for some input, exciting interactions, and was overly outwardly oriented, although perceiving much deeper insights about my surroundings at the same time. The inner insights were mixed with outer perceptions, as if my insides had fallen out and I could perceive myself mainly outside of myself. That might sound strange, but my inner perception seemed to be not in my middle, but somewhat outside of my body. So I could get way more other dimensional insights than I ever had. My body was like under a current constantly provided with energy, and my more spiritually oriented self was enjoying life in some newly discovered energetic and spiritual realms. The curve slowly went down when I got together with my partner at that time. We would quarrel, I would feel verbally oppressed, and the pressing need for material providence was undeniable. But I wanted to experience happiness and upliftment just to maintain the newly discovered self. It didn't last long, that floaty state. I fell down from my cloud, back onto the land where worries and disagreements and unfulfilled needs dwell in people's hearts. The landing was tough, and my state of being became seemingly depressed, more anxious, even desperate at times. I didn't possess the set of skills needed to maintain myself individually in a material realm. Self-healing? Check. Positivity? Check. Financial ground? What was that? Do people achieve changes without risking losing their lifelong accumulated possessions? Buying shampoo is already a field of tension because the little money I have is already melting. I had no idea where to start or how to establish myself in a foreign country, let alone understand the role I have to fulfill in my life and, of course, choose the very right decisions. A complex task for both my emotional and mental selves. Why not add a karmic relationship of love and hatred to this equation? What followed was a long list of my first times. First job, first income, learning a new language, living abroad, having a serious intimate relationship, renting a flat, owning a car, traveling extensively, and having emotional crashes in all of it. But along the curvy line I found a way to work with the medicine, my teacher, the wine. Being mentally overloaded was my new natural state. The curve of my total well-being was rocking the middle ground with sharp edges going up and down the middle line. The intensity was beyond my control. The daily emotional input I received was stretching me somewhat out of my positive outlook on life. I could hardly reconnect to my own inner source of wisdom, and the relationship dynamics were beating me down. Over time, as the previous state lasted over several years, I think I started finding my middle occasionally even between closely laid, tumultuous situations. Work with ayahuasca played a major role in it. I grew so much by following the spirit's calling, though I must say there was part of escapism in it as I see it now. Even though the ceremonies were interesting, they were intense nonetheless. But this didn't matter to me as I was used to pain and didn't feel worthy enough to wish for some mellow, gentle, soft, and emotionally stable approach. The pain was inflicted upon me, and the surroundings just confirmed my original belief. Over this process, I accumulated more of those insights about myself, and the sparkles of deeper, peaceful feelings were caught occasionally until they started accumulating themselves. I began holding myself back from falling into an emotional abyss when hit on a hurtful spot. With lots of training and emotional stamina, I truly learned to maintain myself gathered at the core level. Many years of training passed by until my well-being's curve was just rippling around the surface level. I think that's where my journey towards spiritual mastership took off, and my commitment led me to the apprenticeship. That is when I started working with other than Liana ayahuasca teacher plants from the South American jungle that required an extended preparation and dieting time. This is where another transformation started, and I was up on this time steadily rising curve again. I didn't expect to reach my new peak so fast. I thought I will continue going up uniformly until, in some faraway future, I'd be at some spectacular looking heights from which I could see the world in radiant colors and meaningful pictures. Providing wisdom, insight, and doing good work for the people around the globe through means of the internet, words, energy work, or physical appearance. That was a nice thought to have while going the upward path. I was not left alone during this period and felt constantly guided, though, and even sculpted in my personality. The most profound visionary experiences of the future manifestations were presented to me. I felt rich inside, yet yearned for more peace and harmonious maintenance. Soon it was about to end, the period of daydreaming. The reality, created within a bubble, collapses within itself with a single needle point touching its firmament film. Poof! And the seeming happiness, spiritual enrichment, deep emotional fulfillment from learning about hidden spiritual worlds and the energy healing work with others are gone, claiming its illusionary and temporary existence upon my little self. Like a rock pushed over the unstable steady point, it starts rolling down a hill with an increasing velocity. So I, too, was rolling like that rock, still grateful in the meantime not to hit the trees. The curve went down, and I went down below with it. Air, I need some air! I kept shouting for a merciful halt on my path towards now not even emotional but spiritual betrayal. And further down I go. Shook off my shook off my millennia-old fear of torture and that on that downhill fall. Excuse me. Every time I went home, it felt like drinking a cup of medicine upon opening the front door and going on a heavy trip. But I kept on going through that door, day by day, believing that the situation would repeat itself if I didn't complete the karmic task. Measuring it in earthly time, it wasn't a very long stretch, 3 months in total. But fear has the unique capability of making any experience appear quite beyond the limits of time. And so, the next 3 months were about laying low, licking the wounds, and being at my newfound zero or ground level. I organized a ceremony weekend for a group of people after that long period had ended, and the mysterious array of events was explained to me with a deeper purpose behind it. My ex was not permitted the behavior he exercised upon me in the end, based on our spiritual pre-incarnation agreement. But my spiritual teachers allowed it. My whole life I felt protected. Situations and people were literally pushed out of my way when needed. I observed it. I've seen influences being mysteriously locked away. Therefore, it was easier for me to accept the drastic circumstances. I knew that if it would not serve me, the spiritual realm could easily eliminate it. That's why I didn't run away, fearing for my body, but faced what I was given to get rid of. This tumultuous time served as my practical exam for my apprenticeship. You see, the Curandero Shamanic Initiation course, where I died at Master Plans Nairawa and Chulakchaki, was indeed the beginning of my initiation in the shamanic work. I knew my determination and deeply seated commitment to serve consciousness growth on the planet by following my passion. My love for the plant teachers was immense, and they took me under their wing as their scholar. I knew that the dieting process is like being pregnant with a new energy within oneself, being a symbiotic container for hosting not only my own self but also plant teachers' energies within my body. So after the diet is completed, these energies should be born and start materializing not only within but also without, soaking through my outer environment and life circumstances. That's what I thought, that's what I was told about. Nobody enlightened me that I will be in an apprenticeship afterwards. I didn't know I was still just being prepared for something. I believed I'd already found my place. The outer environment was positively changing, and I felt embraced. The newly found home in Germany, Black Forest, was the first place I truly felt belonging to, coinciding with the beginning of purposeful work, and started rooting myself in those grounds. My client network was expanding. I felt deeply appreciated for what I was giving, and the work itself was a pure heart satisfaction. Energy was overflowing. All seemed to move towards the intended direction. Not yet the birth. My diets have created a school out of my life just for my future self, just for my further self. The ceremony I held after the seemingly long period of drastic and perceivably negative changes was a theory exam. I have already passed the most critical test of maintaining my self-integrity, not harming, not hating another under extreme circumstances. The theory test would not radically influence my graduation grade, but it is still a mandatory requirement for completing the education provided by the plans. I'd say I passed the theory exam quite well. From then on, I shall not take any medicine, I promised, until the time I feel the same heart's calling as I did upon meeting the liana for the first time. After that ceremony, the curve rose 90 degrees up, and I started on a vertical journey towards a promised plateau. Not a slow and steady, ever happier rise towards my destination, like I thought while swinging happily within my past illusionary bubble, but a vertical rock climbing marathon. Risky path, thus faster outcome, possibly. It saves time, needing no roundabouts. Who cares that I can barely sustain my basic needs and not moving, just hanging already demands more of my energy than I can accumulate with sleep, food, and breathing? Who cares? Faster is faster. I hate this stuff. For the outer world, I'm always tired, no fun sitting quietly at home or having emotional breakdowns. Not only for the outer world, but for me as well. No financial capacity to do anything interesting. When the possibility occurs, I have no energy for it. Just healing, licking my wounds, waiting for the time to pass by and become somewhat more normal, like I remember myself in the past. And so I climbed for eternity, I believe, for 2 years in timely measurements. Climb several steps up, then hang on the wall, trying to gather my scattered energy back. No way I'm going down again. Only the cold, rocky wall in front of me, sideways and down. The only reasonable way is further up. I feel prepared for it even though I'm exhausted. I am exhausted in holding myself against the gravity versus the rock bottom, where moving a leg or a finger is already an exertion of reserves not available. In that state, help from outside is the only way out. Have already had 2 similar occasions to confirm this pattern. In my actual state, I have to be the one holding myself up. I dreamed about this scene, and saw myself approaching the wall's edge. I could already see people from the top looking down, stretching their arms, wanting to help. They wouldn't go down, but would keep themselves safe on the ground, waiting until I'd be within reach to pull me over and alleviate that last step. Before I reached that helping hand myself, I grabbed someone from one step beneath me while holding tight with my left hand on the boulder and swung them up where a person was ready to catch them and drag them to the soft ground. It was a physically disabled person whom I probably felt obligated to help before allowing myself to be helped. One more step and I could reach the helping hand myself. It was a fair-haired, bearded man around 40 years of age, would be my guess. He pulled me over and I literally couldn't believe my luck. After this Odyssey trip on my own, there was a helping hand at the end. Could you imagine the feeling of landing on flat ground, still in a state of not knowing how long you can manage to go up? The ground was grassy, moist, and lush. Nature, forest, sun, and radiance in colors were further up front. After starting at the monotonous cold wall for I don't know how long, after staring for I don't know how long, feeling the burning pain in my muscles, how significant everything else appears to my sore bones. But I'm not there yet, and it was just a dream. Subchapter: Same but renewed. This picture I created, I thought, will be the story of manifestation, but instead it turned out to depict the discovery of ancestral roots grounding within my own heart, finding purpose in life and connecting with authenticity as parts of the visionary's path. And so this journey is one of a kind. It creates a feeling within me that at last all is well, although my wishes may remain silent in their current mysterious phases, and maybe that's where they belong. It is my nature to be a part of a continuous flow towards the end of time, which I may as well already know does not exist. But the beyond time is an actual place, and I tap into it when I manage to be still in my mind and open with my heart, not to be dragged apart but crystallize my energy in the core of my being, where my physicality rests. Resistance is what makes the physical form appear in a solid shape, but I don't need it beyond that. So I gather my wisdom, gather my light, and let it sit within the lotus flower in the center of my heart. And from there I can observe what else is happening around me. A burning core that is warm and secure, that is protecting me, that is guiding me, that is allowing me to look all 360 degrees around me, above and beneath me, and see that no matter how many steps are taken and how many words are spoken, I'm still sitting here where I sat beforehand. No matter what kind of achievements I manage to bring into life, I continue sitting in the same spot, and hopefully that place is coupled with a sensation of belonging. Not to a specific place, but to Gaia, to Earth, and the feeling of being at home within myself. All the rest then comes after. I move forward while embracing the colors and the sceneries within me, loud and buoyant ones. Now my future fulfillment is having that nesting place where the eggs get laid and little creatures in shapes and forms unseen by the world comes to the daylight with a glitter in their eyes, where there are smiles and there are tails, there are sharp teeth and mischief made. I cherish them, the little ones, my inner children, colorful and plentiful in their enriching personalities. I cherish them and I nourish them, and then I let them out into the big wide world to explore the lands their mischief leads them to. And so, they hatch and are detached, not mine but theirs. They go and live their own unique realities that are somehow an intrinsic part of mine. In this way, in this form, I manage to multiply and stretch, once a scary, but now fully embraced. The monstrous being with octopus-like tentacles is extending itself into environments that are beyond my imagination, beyond the limitations that I set for myself, that I am capable of reaching with my character and my bodily appearance from hopefully still the center of my heart. These new cultures in which the little beings who grew big and at times very mighty find their places enable me to live multiple lifetimes beyond myself. It's simultaneous and encompassing my own self, but being part of many, many more of such profound ones. Like a mushroom spreading its pores that gets caught by the wind and carried along to the places beyond the original mushroom's control. And so I thank the forces that carry me, little being just spreading her wings, allowing me this journey where I can fly and feel carried not by only my own strength but by some greater than me, often an invisible force that is gentle, that is caring. Though at times I feel twisted and turned, if I manage to fall into the gracious glide across the azures, I can see the beauty even in turmoil. And so, just like the story began, it ends at the same time without reaching the actual end but still completing a perfectly round cycle, with no particular achievements to be proud of, nor grand manifestations, just an ongoing process of letting the struggles pass me by and facing what life brings towards me while focusing on maintaining the peace within my continuous self-imaginary image. Spreading its wings, flapping its tail, she is ready for her next adventurous glide. Just this time, the accomplishments will be only for the exhilaration of her mind and the satisfaction of her heart. Self-value is no longer anchored in the outside world. We have two lives, as the saying goes, one to learn and one to live. I'm already hatched. I just need to see how I fly. Now comes a poem by Rao Noma, written in 2022. You came from within when the darkest of nights reached its peak at the starless hour. One shooting star might be missed unseen when bright city lights are glowing at night. Throughout darkest mindsets, you came, source of light, falling from heights, grabbing me by the arm. My mind is now fixated to find peace in places nobody believes it to be found. Is it worth staying sane? How could I refuse, mesmerized by her glow, one tiny being, turning the sky upside down?